Hello, hello. Welcome to the live stream. All right. We'll start, I guess, with a few questions that were asked in the post on the community channel. And first one was asking about opening your Flutter project in Xcode. So that is actually pretty simple. I feel like the person who asked this is probably has some other configuration issue, but if you open up a Flutter app here and then go to, and actually, let me move this. So if you open up a Flutter app here, to open up an Xcode is pretty simple. You can right click on the iOS here, and this is an Android Studio. And then if you go to Flutter, open iOS module in Xcode. This is the easiest way that you can do it, but you can also open it through Xcode. But this will definitely link you directly into that app. Then you can see it kind of takes a bit to load up, but from here you can actually then just run it, and it should build for you. And this will build on a iPod Touch simulator, so we would expect a new simulator to pop up with that app. Yeah, this might take a bit, but that is generally how you can run it through Xcode. Sometimes you do need to run it through Xcode, especially if there's been an Xcode update. A lot of times the app won't run through Android Studio, but then if you go and run it through Xcode and then go back into Android Studio, it'll start working again. So this is definitely something that is used sometimes, but never is it the case that you're like developing an Xcode, or at least not the way that I've been doing it for Flutter. But yeah, this is a bit slow. Another question was, or another comment, I guess, was about writing the next app using Swift UI, and not a bad idea. I don't know that I'm going to jump necessarily right into the Swift UI framework. I mean, it's definitely interesting. I talked about this a little bit in the last stream, like Flutter versus like natively writing in Swift or Android. I guess generally I do kind of like writing Swift better, or I did kind of like writing Swift better, but the fact that you can get an Android and iOS app with Flutter is just, that's like so big that I don't think it's worth it yet to move back to Swift. So probably I'm not going to do that. I'll probably be sticking with Flutter for a bit now. As well as it seems most of this channel has become now like a Flutter channel. Initially it was, I mean, the idea still is to make it more of like a full app startup channel. So that is still the plan, which means, I mean, a Swift app is definitely possible. It's definitely not off the table to write an app with Swift. I think there's still a lot to do with this travel budget app that wouldn't make sense to switch over to Swift though. You can see now our simulator is starting up, and this is that iPod Touch simulator, which is running from Xcode, not Android Studio. And there we go, the app is loading. So yeah, I don't know, I guess whoever had that comment, I'm not really quite sure how to pronounce your name. It's like AHHA, maybe, but I don't think you necessarily have your project configured correctly, because this should work. So if you're getting any errors or any specific errors, maybe comment those on the You can comment those where your other comment was, and maybe I could help, but not sure. I'm doing good. Hello all to all these people who have joined. Let's see. Learned a lot from your videos. I take this opportunity to thank you. Oh, yep, no problem. The app's doing good. I haven't really done any active like marketing for it yet. So I mean, in a few of the more recent videos, I've gone ahead and let me actually move this. In a few of the more recent videos, I've mentioned the app and that the app's live, and then in some of the comments, I've been mentioning that the app is now live, but I haven't really like actively marketed it or actively tried to get people to download it. I mean, it is live, and there are a few bugs that I know of in the live version that need to be updated. So I'm kind of want to get those fixed first before I start pushing like marketing onto it or pushing people to download it more. But generally the app is doing good. One thing that has come up a couple times is like getting the ads running on the live version. You do need to make sure you connect your app in AdMob, and it's pretty simple to do, but the iOS version does take like 2 weeks to show up in AdMob. So if you are deploying yours, note that it does take some time. How many users can Firestore handle? I don't know actually specifically. I don't think there's like a strict limit. I think the main problem that happens with Firestore users, let's see if I can find a quick answer. It looks like it has a limit of 1 million concurrent connections per database, is what this is saying. So 1 million users, kind of 1 million active users. I don't know. That might be out of context a bit though. I think what happens with Firebase is if your app does scale, like if you have millions of users, it's not going to be cost effective anymore to use Firebase and Firestore because the cost will get kind of out of hand. But if you get that many users, like if you're at that point, you should in theory be making enough money that you can either hire other developers to build like some backend and migrate it there, or you can just do it yourself. And then some people might be thinking like, why not just build it yourself? Like, why not just build that backend yourself initially? And it's not a great idea because it's going to take so much time. Like, it's going to take you a lot more time to build that backend up. And then maybe your app gets, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 users, which is like a decent amount, but it's actually in reality nothing. It's like so little that you're not really going to be making. It's depending on the model of your app, like the payment model of your app. If you're just running ads on it, you're not going to make any real money. But if you had like 3,000 people subscribed to a monthly subscription, then yeah, you could be making good money there. But yeah, I think using like Firebase and Firestore is really valuable, and that it saves you so much time initially, all that development time. Yeah, and you can always move to your own backend after. Yeah, pagination in the app, like paging the data. There are ways definitely that Firebase has set up for this. Like I mean, typically the way you do it is there's like you make your request and then you give it a limit, and then you also give it like a page index. So your request would be for 10 items or whatever, and you would say, this is page 1, and then when you do it again on page 2, you give it, still it's 10 items, but then it's page 2, so you really are getting like items 20 to 30 essentially. Um, I can probably do a video for that, talking about that more. Firebase Premium, it's not. I mean, no, you really get most of it. Like I think I'm on like the Blaze plan, which is the pay-as-you-go one, and I think I had to upgrade to that because of there was like something I had to do to upgrade to that. But you get all the free stuff first, so as long as your app isn't like getting huge, you'll be able to use the you'll be able to use the free plan of Firebase even if you're on like that higher paid one. Or although I guess there's that one where you pay monthly, I wouldn't recommend doing that. It's not necessary unless your app is bigger. Cool, glad to see that you found the videos useful and were able to develop your own app. AI powered news. That sounds pretty cool. I feel like maybe I did see. Maybe you sent me a link to this app. I feel like I downloaded. I feel like I downloaded someone's app that was like a news app. Um, but cool. I am still planning to do those app reviews. I did two so far, but um, I plan to do more. I have a form out there that is where you can submit your app if it was like recently released, and I'll kind of just go through it and give my feedback really. Yeah, I'm trying to get maybe like one a week out. Do like one of those a week. I would like to do it on the live stream. I think that would be cool, but the problem is I need to figure out how to get my phone to like stream to my computer as well, which I think is definitely possible, but I need to figure out how to do it with like an iPhone and an Android phone. So until I spend the time to do that, I'll be doing them as like standalone videos. Yeah, paging will definitely reduce the reads in Firestore if what they're looking for is on the first page. So it's definitely useful if you have it's useful if you have a lot of data. If the user can potentially be accessing a lot of data. Cool. Got another form submission. Nice. I think there's quite a backlog now. There might be like 12, 12 or so. So I don't know. I will get to them. I do plan to get to them all, but it will take some time. Think about that. Must be related to. Okay, purchasing premium. Cool. Doing good. How are you? I don't know if this is the best way to. I guess this is the best way to do these. Just like reading through these comments. Um, yeah, that's how we'll do it for now. Cool. This stream is about. I mean, generally the channel is about building an app startup. So using Flutter is what has been used. So pretty much the channel has been my journey of creating a Flutter app and showing you all the steps of it. But the plan is to further show like marketing and the business side of it and how to like scale up your app to get a bunch of users. But yeah, generally it's Flutter or startup questions. Any of those are good. But yeah, glad to have you stop by. Cool. So this is like a general GitHub question, it seems like. I did make a video specifically about GitHub and Flutter. I mean, really, if you just search this in Google, you'll see generally how to do it. These three commands are like the simplest: get push, get pull, get commit. But a lot of like IDEs will build it in, so you can have it built into Android Studio and kind of do your commits without having to write in the terminal. I typically like to write in the terminal though. I think it's a little bit easier to understand, but both are nice. I did put my app on the Play Store as well. And yeah, both are running. So yeah, both are running, and I mean, I have the potential to earn money on both. I only have an ad. I have like one banner ad on. I have one banner ad on the profile page, and then one like interstitial ad that pops up once you create your first trip. So it's. I mean, it's like a numbers game. If there were like a lot of people downloading the app and using it, then maybe I would get a lot of ad revenue. But I mean, I haven't. I've gotten like maybe $1 in ad revenue, but they will show up separately in AdMob because they're essentially like separate apps in AdMob. Although I mean, like they're the same app, but in AdMob they show up as like the Android version and the iOS version. Um, but yeah, I recommend having both. There's no, I mean, if you don't plan to have both, I don't even think you should use Flutter. I think if you only want to have the iOS version, you should just write it in Swift. And if you only want to have the Android version, just write it in. I mean, I don't have, I guess that's why I went to Flutter is because I don't even want to write Java or Kotlin, but probably that might even be better than Flutter. I'm not sure. Hello. And let's see. Are we earn money with the travel app, which you show in Flutter series? Kind of like what I was just saying. Not yet. I mean, yes and no. Like I've earned maybe less than $5. Let's put it that way. It's not a lot of money. Not a lot of money has been earned, but the more people that download the app, the more potential for earnings, and also the main the main marketing hasn't happened yet, as well as there's no main monetization yet other than those small ads. So I think the app version that's live right now is not really, it's kind of like a beta version. It's live, but it's not really fully there because I wouldn't feel comfortable charging people anything for what is live right now. But as I add some more features, I plan to put like a paywall, and I'll show you guys all that, like doing in-app purchases in Flutter. Maybe do a subscription where you can have multiple trips, or have like extra features that you can pay, I don't know, a few dollars a month for, or have like a one-time payment. That's where the money will really be made, is in those in-app purchases and that kind of stuff. The ads can make you money, but only if you have a lot of people. So I don't know. I'll move on from that. I feel like I'm just trying to repeat myself. Cool. If you link, send the app link on that Google form, which is on any of the other app reviews videos. There's a Google form, so if you fill that out, it's gonna be like first come first serve to do an app review, and I'll be going through all of those. So submit it there if you haven't already. So want videos about interacting with my users via in-app cloud messaging, and about in-app review, or any other ideas of interaction. Um, yeah, cloud messaging, that is something I'm considering doing next, or like kind of close to next. I'm considering doing that as kind of a different app, maybe though. I think this travel budget app has gotten to a point where it's like it's harder for newer people to jump in and just start coding. Like for instance, if I release a new video that's about something specific, I'm trying to make them like less specific to the travel budget app so that they could still be useful to other people who haven't been following and don't want to go back and watch all 60 videos. So I'm considering doing like a real-time chat app, and do it as like a standalone thing, but then like do the tutorials as a standalone thing, but then I'll work the same concept into my travel budget app. I was toying with the idea of making that like a paid, instead of doing it like the free on YouTube one, making that chat one like a standalone paid course. But I don't know yet. Still kind of thinking through that. I'll put out some sort of form, but or some sort of poll on the channel if people would even be interested in paying for something like that. But we'll see. Any plans to make it responsive for tables? Not really. I guess no. I don't know exactly what you mean, but I guess do you mean having like responsive tables in your app? My app doesn't really have tables, so I don't know. Not. Do you mean like tables like Excel? Like it'd be like an Excel table looking thing, or using like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I don't plan to do anything like tables, I guess. Like Excel looking tables. Awesome. I'm glad to have a new subscriber. Great. Glad to hear that. Yeah, there are, I think, a good bit of Flutter channels now. I think there's some good ones out there. I've definitely watched some other videos that I found useful. Some of them are not, but I think that's with any channel. There's like useful ones and not useful ones. What's the salary for a Flutter beginner? I mean that all depends. It depends on, I guess, the company. It depends on your location. Are you doing like freelance work? Are you like actually working for a company? Are you just building their app? Are you part of a team? There's a lot of, I don't know. There's a lot of variables to figuring out what to be paid. Yeah, I don't know. Depends. It also depends on your experience, I guess, for a beginner. It's hard to say. Flutter also, I don't think, has like a ton of jobs available. It seems, I mean, since it's kind of still so new, like a lot of companies I don't think have started using it yet, so it is relatively new. Some people are like afraid it's not going to stick around, like, because Google will cancel all their projects. I don't really think that this is a concern. I think this will probably stick around for a good bit, because the concept of it is really good. I mean, the concept of like having one code base for multiple apps, I think that like makes sense. It doesn't make sense that you should have to write your app in like twice, essentially, like having to write it in two different languages. And I could see like no one really, like, there's no reason not to use it, I guess, in my opinion. I guess it depends on your app. Like I don't think you can really develop a game in Flutter. So yeah, it depends on the app type. I guess it's not true. There are a lot of reasons probably not to use it. No, I don't think this is necessary to do. To make an app ads.txt if you're only using the normal AdMob apps or normal AdMob ads. I believe you make this app ads.txt file to say, actually, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what this is used for. I want to say on websites you put that in to tell what ads are being used or not being used. I'm not quite sure though. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it does. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. But I have a few apps out there and none of them have this, so, and that are using AdMob, and they've been running for more than a year, so I don't think you need it. Cool. Did the form. Yeah, I mean, I think the review videos are pretty cool. I tried to do those book reviews for a little bit, and I might still do a few of those, but no one really seemed to watch them. So the app review ones, I think, are more valuable, I guess, more useful to people, especially the people who are submitting them, valuable to them, I think, definitely. But then I think if I could keep them like short enough and concise enough, I think they're useful to watch, or they're useful to see what other people are doing in their app, and then kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not really, it's just my opinion really of like what I think could be better. But I do think having someone open your app for the first time and just give you that like immediate, give you that feedback of what they think or what they thought was supposed to happen and what did happen is very valuable. Because I mean, definitely when I'm building my app, it's like I know how it works, so I don't really need to. You start taking things for granted, I guess. You start making assumptions that people don't make when they actually open up your app. So that is the idea of that. I mean, longer term, the goal is to kind of have more of a way that people, like all of us who are building these new apps, can get other people to download them and use them. So I don't know. Like, imagine if like this whole community was able to post their app download link somewhere, and then the rest of us can all download it and give feedback and become like initial users. I mean, that could be, I think that has potential to be something really cool with this whole, that can come out of this whole channel. So that's I'm kind of in the works of building something like that out, but time will tell. Yeah, one man startup. I mean, definitely one person can start a startup. I mean, especially in technology like this, in apps and stuff. I mean, and I do think there is a limit to it, to be honest. Like, it is the start. Like, the one person can start it and ideally get it working. Where the second person comes in that makes it really valuable is having someone to like talk about it all with and push you to continue building it. Because when it's just you, literally the hardest part when it's just you is to keep yourself motivated and like keep yourself on a schedule and say like, okay, I'm gonna do this today. I'm gonna do this by the end of the week. That's the hardest part for sure. I think like that discipline. That's where having a second person I think is very valuable. Also like splitting the work obviously too. I don't think generally though having two developers is always a good thing in the beginning. I think it can actually cause more problems. I don't know. I guess I've never really had that experience though, so I'm a little biased on that. So how can we generate data for our app for more user engagement? I mean, it depends on the type of app you have. If you're for interest, I mean, for instance, if you're doing like a social media style app where you're having like posts and stuff, then you can just create posts yourself and create them under fake accounts. That's like what Reddit did in the beginning. They created like a bunch of fake accounts that were them and then just started posting stuff and commenting on stuff, and then real people would get in with that as well. Yeah, I don't know if that's not what you mean, then I'm not quite sure what you mean. But yeah, you can just create the content. That's a lot of work too. But it's building an app where the users create the data is like the hardest part about that is getting those initial users to create anything. So that is like that's a whole different challenge than just building an app. You have to build the app and then get people to use the app. And a lot of times I think a lot of ways that companies do that is they incentivize them with like paying them essentially. Like Uber used to pay, I mean they still might, they used to pay you to become a user. They would give you like $10 to sign up. And a lot of places do that. The Cash App does that. Like a lot of those referral type things, they're just paying you to become a user. But it actually makes sense for them because it's cheaper to, like if Uber pays you $10 to become an Uber customer, it's cheaper to pay you $10 directly than trying to build targeted ads to get you to sign up. So it's kind of like the cost per acquisition of a user is probably, if they go through Google ads or Facebook ads, is probably more than just that $10. Or that's maybe one way to look at it. Another way is maybe your lifetime value of that customer is like $5,000. So paying $10 to get them, it's obviously just makes sense because it's like spending money to make more money. What videos for app marketing, especially in Google Play? Yeah, this is definitely going to be a big push for 2021, is going to be the marketing stuff, like the marketing side of it, and how to get more users on your app, how to market your app better, and also how to make money off your app. So those are going to be kind of like the main things the channel is going to be. I do have the videos, like, not fully finished, but I do have the videos of like doing the restyling to get it to basically what it looks like now, the live version. So I'll make those and put them out, but then I'll probably take a break from Flutter and start into marketing. But that's at least the plan. We'll see how it goes. Oh, cool. Tablets. I might have read that wrong above, or a typo. Yeah, I think that's definitely a huge market, and it's definitely something that it's something you can do in Flutter. It's just I need to look into it more. I haven't actually done. I would do the research on that first. But yeah, I mean, ideally plan to have the app on tablets as well as on the web. Like Flutter Web, I don't think is quite there yet. It's not quite ready, but once it is, I fully plan to have, to be able to use the travel budget app in your browser on your computer, and then throughout the apps and tablets, that's really where Flutter becomes like super, super powerful. I mean, me personally, I'm on my computer much more than I'm on my phone. So for me, which I feel like a lot of developers are like this as well, it becomes like if you're building a website, you kind of build it for the computer as a developer if you're not thinking about mobile first. And then you realize when you launch it, more than half of your users are on their phone. They're using it on their phone. And the mobile experience probably, if you build your website like that, then the mobile experience kind of sucks. And if that's the case, it's like, I don't know, that's not great. It's better to have a better mobile experience and a worse desktop experience, I think, nowadays. But me personally, I prefer the computer. So, but yeah, I plan to get to all of that, like tablets, and as well as the web, Flutter Web. Yeah, the one-on-one Flutter teacher. This idea has been out there as well for a little bit. Considering something like that, to me, obviously the hardest part for that is the time. It's going to be. It's not on. I don't know. I would just need to carve out time for that. Yeah, having a dialogue I think could be good. I mean, one idea that I talked to someone from the channel about was like essentially doing that, having a one-on-one teacher type thing. Really, where it was like if it were me and you that were involved in this, it would be like I would already know what app you're working on, and then if you like ran into an issue, I could kind of. You wouldn't need to bring me up to speed every time. You would just, the first time you would, obviously, but then after that, it would be a lot easier to talk about your app because we wouldn't have to waste like 30 minutes for me to get up to speed on what your app is and what you're trying to do. That's potential. I do like that idea, but I need to figure out how I can make that work time-wise. And I don't know, like how much would people actually be willing to pay for that? Because it would have to be, I guess, worth it in that regard too. Yeah, fill in the data, for sure. It's definitely hard to get content. Like that's what getting content is like what all the. It's what all these sites are after right now. It's like getting your content, like getting user content, like TikTok versus, I mean, look at like TikTok and how that exploded because it was getting all this content from people. People were creating all this content for it, and then Instagram went in and like made something similar, like the Instagram Reels, and then YouTube is making something similar, like the YouTube Shorts, because they're trying to get people like to create that like short video content, so they're trying to get as much of that on their platform as possible. Because if you can get the people on your platform and they're like engaged in your content, then you can monetize it, obviously. And even better, if you can get people to make that content for you, you just really have to keep the site running at that point. Yeah, getting content is not easy though. I don't think so. The only reason I would move back to Swift and iOS is if Apple comes out with like Apple Glasses and or some other product that isn't the iPhone. And if they do that, I would assume like okay, if Apple comes out with like Apple Glasses like this year, Flutter is not going to be caught up to run on that. Like it'll lag behind if it ever even gets to it. But Swift would be able to write. You'd be able to write apps for it in Swift. So that is when I would jump back to using Swift and iOS. I mean, as I said before, I generally prefer writing Swift to Flutter code, like just the code base as itself. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense unless I had like a team to build both apps. So probably not. Yeah, I agree generally. I mean, I don't know. I don't love Flutter and Dart. I did at first, but then I got kind of, I felt like as the app got more complex, maybe I just need to learn better the patterns of using Flutter. But I need Flutter. I mean, Flutter is good. I mean, Flutter is great. I don't not like Flutter, but I think the app can get out of hand with all those nested widgets, which obviously, I mean, the key to that is to not make all those nested widgets. So that's that. But yeah, Flutter Web seems real promising. I'm excited for that to like actually be a thing, but it's not. I don't think it is. I think it's still in beta right now. I haven't looked in a little bit though. Yeah, the Mac. I just this year got the 16-inch MacBook Pro. But prior to that, I had the 15-inch, like, what would it have been? Probably like the 2014. I had a 2012, and then I had a 2014 as well. So I was using like the 2014 one initially. So I mean, when I started all this YouTube stuff, like I was using the 2014 MacBook Pro, and that worked fine. I think really any of the MacBook models are pretty good, generally. Upgrading to the M1 Mac, definitely interested. I'll have to see though. I know some stuff is like not compatible, or isn't compatible yet, but probably by the time they get like a MacBook Pro M1, then maybe everything would be more compatible. I don't plan to get that 13-inch one. I don't like the 13-inch MacBooks. I like the 15 or 16-inch screens because I use the Mac like as my computer. I don't have an external keyboard and I don't have a mouse, so the Mac itself is my computer, and the main, like the laptop screen is the main screen I use, and then I do have an external monitor, but that is I just have an external monitor. That's it. So 13 I think is too small. Am I using ECMP floors? In AdMob, no, I don't think so. I'm using basically what the default is. I guess I could open it real quick up here. Yeah, I don't have those set. One sec. Yeah, no. No frequency copying and no ECMP floors. I don't know if it's good to use them, to be honest. Impressions generally, I don't think, give too much revenue at all. Like, it's really the clicks. Like, if you get one click, you can get like 90 cents or $1, depending on the ad. And you might need like 1,000 impressions to get 5 cents. Maybe the interstitial, I think, does pay some more. Like, the interstitial will definitely pay more per impression because it's like they're watching a video. I don't know. I would say try it, test it for like turn them on, test it for like 2 weeks, see if you make more money, then compare. I guess what beginners should know about Flutter in terms of today's job market is like go look on Indeed. Like, go look on Indeed for Flutter jobs. I don't think there's that many. So I don't know that if you're trying to get a job as an app developer that Flutter is the best choice, because I don't think a lot of companies are using it. But I mean, go on Indeed, go search for job postings for Flutter. I mean, I always see on those I'm in like those Facebook groups with like for Flutter, and I always see people that are asking for Flutter developers. Granted, I don't know how legit those are, and I don't even know how much they would pay, so those could just be scams for sure. I don't know. I mean, definitely. I don't think Flutter is that big in the market. Yeah, 20 developers and it's still hard to push the product out. Wow, 20 developers, that's a lot. That's a lot of developers. I wonder, what is it that you're building? Is it an app? Like, is it just specifically an app? And then are the developers split between like the back end and the front end? And do you have a website component? It'd be interesting to see like what those teams are like, because I mean, I'm sure your app is big. I mean, do you have 20 developers and you don't have anything pushed at all? Or you mean it's hard to push out something like an update? If it's the first one, like if you have 20 developers and you haven't pushed anything out at all, that seems like a red flag to me. Unless you're building like a huge project, but even then, I don't know. Setting up a new user groups, teams, and separate users, store their data. So what you're essentially saying here is you want groups and then users within those groups, and any user in the group can see any other users, some part of that user's data. This is where like a relational database would be really easy to set this up, because you can just say they belong to the group. But with Firestore, it's not exactly a relation. I think you can do relations in Firestore now. That's kind of like a newer thing they released maybe within the past year. So look into that, because I think you can have a reference. Like, I think you can have you can keep the users kind of structured how it would be, a user and then all the user's data. But then I think you can have a reference on that user document that references another document. And then that document that it references could be the group. and then the group can have multiple users. So I believe that you can do that now in Firestore. That was not always the case though. But yeah, I'd look into that first. Yeah, Discord server potentially. Yeah, maybe. I was thinking like, do people like Discord or Slack better? Because I've never really used Discord, but I have used Slack, so one or the other. Maybe Discord is better for like larger groups of people. I have not read The Company of One book, but I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, I definitely think you can be successful, at least starting it by yourself. I mean, that's kind of the idea. Like, you don't need to build the whole business by yourself till the end of time. But I think it's ridiculous to think you can't start it by yourself and get your like initial thing out there. Especially because once you get something out there, like, I don't know, I'm pretty critical of my own work, I guess. So I think that travel budget app is pretty much not that good. But if it was a little bit better, I think it could. Just the fact that it's out there, people could see that and then be like, oh, this is really cool. I want to work on this, or I want to help build this thing. So yeah, if you start something that's really cool, people will probably, I mean, you'll be much more likely to find people that are interested in that versus like starting something with your friend who is maybe not even interested in the same idea that you are. Reviews can be given on an app through the store, through like the app store. So for instance, if you go into the Apple App Store, you can add like a 5-star review and add a comment. I do plan to make, I mean, I'm sure you guys have noticed like in some apps that pop-up will come up and it'll be like, do you like the app? And then it lets you do the review right there. That is something I'll be doing in a video at some point, because those are useful. I mean, having good reviews on your app store is definitely part of the marketing aspect and like getting more downloads. Because no one wants to download an app that has like a 1 to 2-star review. Yeah, that's a good point. A Facebook group would be good for that. Um, yeah, that I think is something I'll have set up within the next month or two, hopefully. It's like some sort of way that we can like share our apps and like get reviews from each other, that kind of stuff. I think that would be useful. I think a lot of people would find that useful as well. Yeah, Google Classroom. I've never used Google Classroom, but I'm sure it's like Google Meetup, or not Meetup. It's, what is it? Google Hangout, which is good because you could screen share and do all that stuff. I wonder if Google Classroom has like a few more features involved in it. But cool, I'll look into that. I mean, my plan is to actually get a website standing up and running, like a onemanstarup.com website that can have like more resources, and then more, like, start to build more of a way that we can all talk to each other about this stuff, which could maybe then actually be a Discord instead or a Facebook group instead, but we'll see. Cool. Glad someone likes the book reviews. I mean, I like the book reviews as well. I like slowed down doing them just because they don't get as many views, but that's not. And by like they don't get as many views, like they only get like 100 to 200 views total so far. Like I haven't looked in a bit, but like after a month of them being out there, they'd only have like 100 or 200 views, whereas like some of the other, like all the other Flutter ones would like get up closer to like 1,000. Which is not just for the views. If 100 people find those useful, then That's good enough for me. How to tweak my app idea. Wanted to create match and following for study app, and closest I came with is drag and drop Flutter widget. Should I learn Java also? I don't think you need to learn Java to build what you're talking about. It seems like I think this could kind of be similar to, like, you want people to be able to follow other people. I think that's kind of similar to what I was just saying about with the groups, like the user groups. So maybe look into using those references, those Firestore references, and then you can reference, like, I don't know exactly. I mean, I would have to think about how to structure that exactly, because you'd want a user to be able to follow multiple people and then be followed by multiple people, probably. But I would start looking there. Yeah, I do have a Twitter account. I actually just linked it. I actually just linked it yesterday. Funny that you bring that up. I just linked it yesterday to the channel page. So if you go to the channel page, that Twitter icon will be there now. But I think it's just at Dave Feliski. So I don't really post too much on Twitter. Really, the only thing I do is like post that I posted a video on YouTube. But maybe I'll start posting more stuff on Twitter. I also have the Instagram, the one man startup Instagram, which I'm trying to post more there, trying to get more, trying to grow the Instagram account a little bit, but yeah, Instagram is like a game. It's like such a game that you have to play to try and like break out. I mean, so is YouTube for that matter. Like getting these algorithms to like show your work, but also it all comes down to like if your work is, or if your content is like good or not. Like, is it valuable to anyone? If it's not valuable to anyone, it's not the algorithms. It's not the algorithm's fault that your content sucks. But yeah. How much did I earn with the ads? On the travel budget app, it's like less than $5. On YouTube, it's actually a good bit more. Nothing that you can live off of. Regarding the one-on-ones, also small discussion groups might work. 1 teacher, 5 students, or something. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely. I mean, I also considered like having a way that we could link two people together. So some way that we can, like, essentially like some way we can pair people to be like accountability partners. So you're not working on the same app, but you're both working on an app or a project, and then it kind of would solve that problem that I was talking about at the beginning of the stream. Like, the hardest part of being a one-man startup is like staying dedicated and like staying on track. And then this could be a way that 2 people who are starting their own thing could like keep each other on track by like checking in weekly or something, and then basically like having someone to talk to about your startup. It's a healthcare app and allows doctors to build the virtual clinics. Okay, this is the 20 developers team. It's out but on beta. Each developer is owning a feature. The startup is 2 months old, and we're using Flutter and Firebase. So that's cool. So Flutter and Firebase. I mean, it's cool to see that people are using Flutter and Firebase in like these larger scale apps, which I think is good. I don't think it's like. I think it's definitely able to scale, is the thing. Although if it does get really big, I wonder what your Firebase bill is going to become. But I guess as long as you're bringing in enough money from the app itself. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So there's like 20 different. I mean, based on what you're saying, then there's like 20 different features in the app, which seems like a lot actually to me. I mean, I feel like personally, like I'm guessing this is like a remote team, and then I don't know. I wonder how that is all structured. Like, I would guess it's like a remote team of like 20 developers that don't know each other, and then I don't know. I would think you could do it with half or less, like 3 developers, but obviously I don't know how complex it all is. Awesome. Glad that video has been useful. Yeah, those videos are essentially like the publishing the beta versions of the app for Android and iOS. Those are basically like, that is like publishing the app. There's a little bit more, I guess, after like adding the screenshots and all of that, but I do plan to do like a follow-up video on like that last push of actually getting the app live. Cool. Good. I'll be doing the book reviews then. I mean, I'll be mixing the book reviews back in, because I do have a few more that I would recommend. I'll be checking out definitely though that The Company of One. Currently, the book I'm reading is Hackers and Painters, which is pretty interesting. I think it was written in like 2004. This is kind of outdated, but it's funny. It's funny how he has been talking about, in 2004 he was talking about how everything is going to go like on servers, so websites will just be on the server, or like web apps will be on the server instead of like selling software that you'll use on your desktop, which was basically like what Microsoft was doing. And at this point that's fully happened. Like, you don't download any, like, it's rare that you download a web app, or it's rare that you download an app that isn't just a website. I mean, I guess an iPhone app is the opposite of that, but really the concept of like being able to update something really quickly versus having to release something like once a year, like a big version update once a year. Cool. You like the book reviews better than the Flutter videos. That's cool. I think the Flutter videos are getting, I don't know. I think they're useful, but yeah, I don't know. I like them. I like the book reviews as well. Cool. Remote team. I have a Git repo. Yeah. Yeah, the GitHub is linked in the channel as well. I think it's just Dave Feliski though is the URL. The GitHub / Dave Feliski. I link the Git repo after or in every Flutter video, so just go to any of them and you'll be able to find the repo. Yeah, Don't Make Me Think is definitely a valuable read. I need to get the updated version of that, because I only ever read the like version 3 or version 2, and now there's a new one that actually talks like specifically about mobile apps. So I never read that one, but the concepts are pretty similar, I think. But cool, we're almost at an hour here, so I think I will wrap this up. But yeah, these are good. I enjoy the live stream. It's definitely easier than editing together a video, so got to get that done as well. But yeah, any other questions, you can just comment on this video, I guess the video will become like a posted video, and then you can just comment there. But yeah, watching the old videos, it's funny. I still think it's funny, like the first few videos I was so ambitious with the timeline. Like I thought it would take me a month to build the whole app, and it took me like a year and a half. But I can answer this question real quick. Firebase over some other database. Firebase and Flutter are like, they're built like hand in hand. They go so easily together. I mean, there's obviously you can use Flutter with other databases, but like Firebase is like the main one that I think anyone would recommend. And then I talked earlier about why I didn't build my own database or build my own backend, mainly because it'll just take too long. Yeah, I definitely plan to do that, which is like will be more of the marketing stuff. I mean, those are I don't enjoy doing that as much, obviously, but I mean, I think it's obvious. Like as a developer, I don't think most developers enjoy doing that, but um, it's a valuable thing to know. Yeah, don't make me read. Yeah, no one wants to read anything. Just give it to me in a video, right? All right, cool. That is gonna be it then. So I'll see you guys all in the next one.